Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nuna's Nunchi Deep Dive, being introspective with K-dramas from a mental health perspective. So we just finished My Liberation Notes. Yep, episode 15 and 16. Hi, y'all. And I just figured I would do one final live deep dive for now before I go back to recorded YouTube videos because I was doing a May special, and talk about the finale, specifically episodes 15 and 16. But what I want to do, is not so much talk about just how much I felt about it. Basically, some takeaways is what I want, right? Because I want to talk about it from a mental health perspective. Feel free as I'm talking now to ask any questions that you may have. But any spoilers? Yes, there will be some spoilers because I'm going to be talking about the My Liberation Notes finale, okay? So if you don't want to be spoiled, then you can listen to this later. So that said, I rated it a 9 out of 10. I didn't give it a 10 out of 10 because just being a romantic, I just wanted one final kiss. That's all. That's it. I just wanted one final little romantic, between Mijeong and Kushi. That's all. That's all I wanted to see. However, everything else I felt it was just right. Meaning the pace, how it ended, it left things open-ended, but still a good closure, if that made sense. That makes sense with, now My Mister, she also wrote. I didn't see the other one that she wrote, but My Mister, which is one of my all-time favorites, I did rank like 12 out of 10 because the ending was a little bit more fulfilling for me. This one was fulfilling, but I just wanted a little bit more of the romantic, scenes. That's all. I'm just being honest. So that said, let's talk about what I want you to take away just from my opinion, from a mental health perspective. It's called My Liberation Notes, or 나의 해방, is that what it is? Basically, My Liberation Journal, My Liberation Diary, so My Liberation Notes. So they were sharing, right, the club that Mijeong started, which is literally the name of the K-drama, all about experiencing liberation. Let's define liberation, because that's what I want to focus on. Liberation is feeling or the act of being set free, setting someone free or something free, liberated, right? From feeling oppressed. And actually in some rights, it's used in a political manner of having equal rights, like women's liberation, right? So that freedom. Why am I bringing that up? Because it's my whole message of today. Understanding 해방, the Korean term for it, liberation, the act of someone or something feeling a release from being oppressed. And that is what I believe is the whole takeaway. What did that journey look like? The reason why it's open-ended, and I love this very moment. I'm going to say this, okay? My favorite moment, well, one of them, is the fact that the Liberation Club, the 해방 Club, decided to continue. Why am I clapping at that? Folks, it's because liberation didn't end, right? First of all, there's hope that they're going to continue to experience liberation in many different ways. Now, each of them experience it in their own journeys that we watched. But the whole point is, your liberation continues, and there might be another section of your life where you're seeking that feeling of release. I'm gonna, break it down a little bit more. But when Mijeong and everybody goes, 좋아, let's do it. Let's start the Liberation Club again. I thought that was the symbol when it comes to mental health, that we are constantly trying to seek that release. And it's a good experience to constantly look at, depending on what you're experiencing. Now, the liberation that Kushi, let's start with Kushi. Okay. What was he trying to find liberation from, right? I'm gonna pause if you guys want to answer that. Well, in my opinion, I want to say that his struggle or his inner demon, which is what folks, there's different things that you experience in life, by the way, to feel liberated from. For some folks, it might be the fact that not that you have depression, but that you struggle with having depression. So I'm going to give an example. You may experience depression, but not feel liberated or want to experience that liberation because you feel that stigma of feeling like you're depressed. Kushi, so let me do the best I can explain this. His liberation was, I believe, in some sense, finally addressing his alcoholism. He even admitted that he is an alcoholic. I think I saw that in episode 15. Was it in episode 15? Where he said it. And so my point is, and that I pointed that out in a reel, that is what's called substance abuse, just abusing a substance a little too much to the point that there's an addiction. But he shared why to Mijeong, what was going on, right? And let's start with the first liberation I want you to take away, to learn from Koo. Not to be liberated from the alcoholism. No. Alcoholism, substance abuse is a coping to what's really going on. So for him, he was feeling burdened of some sort of guilt, fear, anxiousness of maybe people he's wronged in the past. Remember a previous girlfriend or a roommate, I was kind of iffy about that, basically ended up, killing herself. So that is a spoiler, but that was early on. And so he was drinking that guilt away. He was trying to help her, but at the end he couldn't. And he admitted that, right? So whatever guilt he's experiencing, those inner demons of feeling like, all he could do was drink through them. Not that he wasn't worthy enough, just the fact that he couldn't cope with all those people coming to him. He talked about that with Mijeong, right? All these people coming to me, so I decided I'd drink right first thing in the morning. Now, someone shared on one of my stories that Mijeong did not judge him for being an alcoholic. That is critical. That is also why he feels that liberation, Haebang, as he was slowly changing through their relationship. I mean, that's the beauty of a K-drama, right? The interactions and how somebody changes. He was slowly changing already, thinking about the things that she was advising him on or just suggesting to him without judgment. And at the end of the day, that is what I believe set him free, liberated, meaning he made his own choice based on that relationship of, wow, I'm not judged. I'm used to being judged. There was a scene in that restaurant where he came an hour and a half late after doing his job, right, at the nightclubs. And she gives him advice of being happy, finding happiness for 5 minutes. Do you remember that? I thought that was amazing. So my whole point is, he's listening to her, slowly realizing, wait, she's not judging me for coming an hour and a half late. Instead, she's listening to me and giving me some sort of advice or validation of what I needed. Because he goes, I guess I'll never have a perfect day, can't have a perfect day. First of all, there's no such thing as a perfect day. Kind of. Maybe there's moments that you have that, but she says something so wise. Try to fill it with 5 minutes of some sort of happiness. Instead of her going, what happened to you? You seem like a different person. She didn't mention that, but it was very nonchalant. So it was not judgmental, and I want to bring that up to help him toward that liberation. So I'm going to say this. As someone who's struggling with substance abuse, addiction, alcoholism, whatever that is, they have to be the ones to change. Family members can push, caretakers can push, you know that, but it's aggravating. But at the end of the day, to be, I guess, to recover and stay in that recovery zone, the person, the patient, the client has to be the one to change. And at the end, that's what Koo did. So our hope is, what I believe, is he made that first step of not drinking in the morning, giving up that bottle to the homeless person, looking at the coin that didn't fall through the gutter as a symbol of hope, and decided to move forward in using Mijeong's words, one step at a time. So that is one other takeaway, the second takeaway, folks. One step at a time to create some change in your life. Many times we want to go all full shebang. Let's change my life. Let's do this. Let's do that. But you just need to make one small change, one step at a time. Remember, trudging along, even if it's hard. But you got to walk through, face your fears. Koo had a hard time facing those fears in the morning, so he drank to kind of get them away, to get drunk, right? But when he was sober, they came to him. So when he chose to call the guy at the end, he's saying in his head, or we believe, hey, I'm facing my fear. I'm not going to just drink because you wronged me too and, messed everything up. And now you owe all this money. He called him and said, I welcome you back. And that is the takeaway that I need you to remember. You have to face your stress and your anxiety, or guess what? It's going to continue to eat at you. What if you resist your stress and anxiety? It's going to keep coming. It's going to persist. Yeah, embracing your fear. So I like that word, but I would also say more like swimming through it. So think of swimming a lap, and you're getting a lot of good exercise, but it's hard, But then when you're done swimming, you have that cardio and muscle build. You feel stronger to go to the next lap and keep swimming. That's the imagery. And Koo knew that he had a tough battle, but he took he goes, I'm going to keep moving one step at a time. I thought that was beautiful, even though I wanted to see a kiss. But that's okay. So that's cool. Mijeong, her liberation. Now, again, remember I said the key thing here is continually a process. That's why they decided to keep the club going. We're going to continue to work on this, experiencing in different ways in different parts of our life. Mijeong needed some liberation, release from just her toxic relationships, and always accommodating others. Now, one of the things I will say, to have healthy boundaries, you got to learn to say no, to step up and defend yourself. And that's not easy in our culture, Definitely it's easy for us to please and do stuff for our family and obviously please others. That's actually what I would say human nature. But Mijeong learned, hey, I'll basically, she liberated herself. It's not with Koo's relationship, sorry. She did not, she could have literally, at that moment when she was going to ruin her ex's wedding, I thought this was brilliant. Then he called her, right? You know how K-dramas do that, the whole fate thing. He called her, stopped her from, at that moment, she would say, hit rock bottom, in some sense, doing something that maybe wasn't characteristic of her that she might regret, right? And yes, continue your liberation journal, diary. Their notes, they kept it in a diary, in a journal. So you can start doing that. In fact, a lot of people journal. That's a great way to heal and write your thoughts down. But Mijeong, through Koo, but her also sharing, being able to listen to him and empathize and sharing her advice. In fact, toward the end, I thought she was giving him such sound advice that it helped her to get through what she needed to literally decide, hey, I'm better than my ex. And guess what happened? That bank scene? I thought that was brilliant too. Oh my God. So at the very end of the day, she did the better thing. And it doesn't mean it was easy for her. That moment when she was like, she defended her ex to that other girl who thought he hit her, right? With the bag. And she said, no, it wasn't him. It was the bag. She didn't have to do that. But again, you are in full control of your behavior. Don't let someone else who's toxic dictate your behavior. You can decide, even if you think the person just needs the worst fate and deserves something cruel and did wrong you and hurt you. I agree. Yes, it's hurtful. You can do harm back for sure. But at the end of the day, that harm becomes a cycle. So what Mijeong did was break that cycle of toxicity that was eating her and released it in that one incident. I believe that's, again, this is all my interpretation from a mental health perspective, but you saw her slight smile and she was in control. She's in control. So that's the other takeaway, folks. To feel fully liberated, by the way, in a situation, remember, liberation's continuing depending on the situation you're in. I need you to understand that you are in full control of your behavior, your thoughts. It just takes some work to go through that. But at the end of the day, you can just choose to say, you know what, I'm not going to talk back, or I'm not going to engage this person. And you know what, I'm going to do the better thing and show how good I am. And guess what? At the very end of the day, because she did that, he looked humbled. And he said he would pay her back. That is, my friends, so the better thing to do. That's not easy. And just so you know, I don't know how many years passed between them not meeting, maybe a couple years or a year and a half or so, something like that. 2 years it took her to do that, right? But again, at the end of the day, it also helped her with Koo. So Koo, she was very important in her life, and she shares that. So that's Mijeong. Oh my gosh, did you not like the brother? I love the brother too. Chang Hee, everything seemed to be by happenstance, meaning it happened by accident. He would be there when his grandmother died, then his mom died, and then one of his best friends dying. He was there for them, but it just happened to work out that way. But he chose to see, he reframed it to see, hey, perhaps I was meant to be there, that I have this sixth sense that I'm supposed to be in that final moment to comfort somebody. And then in that final moment, because even I was like, wait, he's in the wrong lecture hall. But it turned out to be the right lecture hall, right? I mean, liberation for him was, we saw a lot through many processes, paying off debt, realizing he even quit his job. So he was actually, I want to say, the more practical one going through things, quitting his job early, even paying off his debt. He was slowly liberating different parts of his life and then finally finding a passion, because I think he was a little lost career-wise. And that was kind of ailing him, right? And then he found it at the end. But also even with his relationship with the girl, like his childhood friend or, good friend. Yeah, a lot of people love Chang Hee. I would actually say Chang Hee would say these really deep sentences. I'd be like, let me rewind. What did he say? Right? You know what I mean? So his was like a very more obvious one, but I loved it. And it's true. He was there for those dying folks that at the very end of the day, obviously some of them didn't know that he was there. In fact, I don't think any of them knew he was there. But he found peace in it. That is what matters. You finding your own peace. So at the end of the day, someone cannot find the peace for you. You need to figure out your own peace. And it might be one cycle of your life. For Ku, it was that drinking. Mijeong, relationships and toxicity of like always being like a doormat, being accommodating, holding her tongue, people saying, doing whatever she wanted, and even the work life that was terrible, that they kind of did stuff behind her back. So all of that is a learning process that she's still going to continue working on, and then feeling lovable at the end. Lovable, right? I'm looking at my notes. Okay. Gijeong. So hers was interesting in the sense of, I think it's just a different kind of love. Now she had a tough situation, right? Facing a potential stepdaughter, those potential sister-in-laws. But I think at the end, I love that she decided, hey, I am there for you. I can be. And didn't she said, I'll be the man? I mean, it doesn't have to look traditional. He, at that point, was struggling. He's a single dad, lots going on. I think he admitted. At one point I went, wow, I didn't know he was that depressed, And I think he was just trying to figure things out, trying to still figure out what he needed to find liberation in. Haebang. Remember, he even shared that he shared such personal things that he didn't want to reveal them. He shared that in the club. So he struggled a lot. He's still struggling, but he has Gijeong to help him, and she seems to be that strength. And at the end, she decides that even with the broken rose, and decides, I saw it as like she's going to continue. I'm going to continue, and she was resolved that this is the way it looks. And that's fine. It doesn't have to look all Prince Charming and Princess, all that. She has her own strength, and that's her own gift. So that's the other takeaway. What are your strengths? What are your gifts? Maybe they don't look traditional. Don't let someone else dictate them for you. You decide what they are, and then shine them, right? Shine a light on yourself, meaning this is my strength. I'm not using them. How can I use it? For Gijeong, I felt like it was a different kind of love, and she was able to navigate it pretty well. It was difficult, but at the end of the day, I believe she comes out stronger and builds her resilience that way, and can be a good partner to Taejun. Is it Taejun? Taejun. Names. And then lastly, let's talk about the father. Remember, I want to go back to the father. He found his own Haebang, maybe sadly so, in his first wife's death, right? Some regrets, which a lot of people feel after death. So another thing I want to talk about is working hard to do what you can to express your feelings and emotions when you can. If you love somebody or want to reach out to them, he had struggles with even showing any of that, but clearly he did love, right? But he found it in his second marriage, or just second chance, and was able to share at the end with his kids to go on, be free, right? Don't be stuck here, which they were already moving on, but it was nice to hear their dad say that. So I thought that little moment, I was like, oh, they gave the dad that, and I was glad to see that, because he didn't say anything much at all. And it wasn't until after his wife's death that he was able to see things more clearly. So I don't want that to happen to any of us. It's just about understanding now. If you're holding back, I'm just going to tell you, it's that burden. Think about wanting to feel liberated, the release. When you feel a little burdened, there's a Korean word for it, but that like kind of icky feeling, try your best to work through that, because that icky feeling stays. It's like sticky. You know what I'm talking about? It sticks with you. Toxicness or not sharing your emotions, and then you don't know how to do it, and then it's too late. Meaning, I don't know, a friendship broke up. You move away, your family, and you are distant. I see this all the time. So that's why I'm bringing that up. And it takes a lot of work. It's an everyday process. So if it helps, start a liberation journal or your own liberation notes, and even your own liberation club. That was going to be my final call to action. A liberation club, like the 4 of those people did. Oh, and by the way, Miss Happy-Go-Lucky, that's what I called her, the person who joined the club last. I loved the fact that she realized she was trying so hard to be happy. And at the end of the day, she was there's no such thing as, you can pretend to be happy, yes, of course, and that can kind of get you through the day, but I think she thought it had to be happy. I want to share something. You can't be happy all the time, but you can be content. You can always try to seek contentment and feel happy, but it doesn't just come naturally. In fact, human nature is where we think negatively, actually. So it takes work to think in gratitude and be thankful. You have to work for it. That's why people take a gratitude journal and work hard for it. So my whole point is, folks, is to work hard to find ways of an everyday liberation. The club that continued is what I want you to be left with. Maybe you do start your own club, and I know that's funny, but what do you learn from K-drama? What do you take away? Is it like, oh, I'm not going to start a club, but I'm going to make sure that I am with a group of friends or family where I do feel this release that we can share openly, or I can come back and feel inspired to write in my journal and feel this freedom or this release, Gijeong, this liberation. The happy-go-lucky woman. I think it's because she didn't know how to feel. She was so used to being the happy person going, join this club, do that. Have you know those people in your life? I know those people in my life where they're like, Jeannie, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why are you so happy? No, I mean, I'd like to be happy too, but no, first of all, it's not normal to always be happy, right? So I think it's important that you work on your happiness, but there are times to show the reality of life. And that's what she discovered. And then she found happiness, right? That's probably the smile that you saw. I think those are it for now. Hopefully I made sense with my takeaways. With my question to you is, how can you find your own liberation or your own Gijeong daily? So even though they made it sound like they found it in some way, you do know that it kept going. And that's why I had to watch the episodes a couple times. Because I was like, what? I'm used to a K-drama wrapping up like a nice present, wrapped up cleanly, bye-bye, and it's good, But this is unique in that sense. And just like my mister, it had a lot of depth to have you think. So I was like, I don't know about you, but I was like, oh my gosh, what did they say? What did they mean by it? But that's okay, because I wanted to learn from this K-drama, and that's what I took away. And that's what I'm telling clients. What can you do each day to release some of that burden, oppressed feeling you feel, oppressive people that you are around? By the way, people can be oppressive. And what I mean by that is they may not know they necessarily do that, or maybe they do, but it could be your coworkers, colleagues, family, friends, people you interact with that you just feel this burden. I guess the Korean word is 부담스러워, this burden. Sometimes Korean does come to me, and but that doesn't feel good, because it's like, then you want to release that burden, and if you don't do it in a healthy way, it could go to unhealthy coping mechanisms. For instance, just having this burden, and he decided to drink his way, and the only hope is we know he has his struggle ahead of him, because it's not easy just to break that, but he has hope. And I say this at the end, and I'm going to close this way. We always have hope, Hope, that no one can take away your hope. So you can always hope that things will get better, that you can figure out a way to liberate yourself first. Someone else will definitely help you in the sense of you're inspired by them. That's why interactions and connections and your friends and family are very important. However, at the end of the day, liberation has to come for yourself. And then you're able to really make that permanent change. So for Koo, it came from him. He heard everything Mijeong was saying and definitely was inspired by it. But at the end of the day, when he put the drink down, that was him. Nobody was around him, right? But he was definitely made that choice, and that's just one step. So liberation comes from you first. And then you can find release in other things. So I hope I'm making sense there. I was looking at my notes because I really want to make sure. I wanted to just end with the coin. Now, the coin, beautiful metaphor, could have fallen in the gutter. In fact, I was like, what's the purpose of the coin? I was like, that's interesting. And then you go and see, and it just stayed on that little thing. What's the coincidence of that, right? Very powerful to show that it did not hit the gutter. So that doesn't mean it's always going to happen that way, but think of yourself, if you're a coin and you're literally teeter-tottering on a gutter, which some people in this day, in this world with the COVID pandemic, everything, a lot has happened, particularly even in the US, so much has happened. There might be a coin that's literally stuck about to go in the gutter. That could be you. But I need you to know, if you want to see that scene again, okay, imagine that you are that coin and you're on that tight line, but you have the choice to take that coin out, that's you, out of the gutter. It's very difficult because you're on the tight line, and one little movement, the coin could have fallen in. One little movement, sensitive, that could be going the wrong way for you, you could go in the gutter. So my whole point is, hold on to that hope and be that coin, and then pick it up quickly and decide to make one short, small change. His small change was put the drink down. That doesn't mean he didn't come back and get it. We don't know that. But we're hopeful that he didn't. This is a K-drama, right? There's always hope there. But I need you to make one small change in your life that goes toward feeling a little more liberated each day. What is that one small change? It could be not answering someone's text tomorrow that irritates you because it's too much for you. It might decide that you will, decide to reevaluate friends or invest more in the friends you have that are helping you feel this way. Those are small changes. I'm not asking for a big, huge change. Look how grueling it was with all the kids and the siblings in the show. Sometimes I was like, oh my gosh, this is too realistic. But that's realistic, so let's take away from that and know that it was a journey that we watched. 16 episodes, 16 hours, a span of 2+ years that we watched a little bit of their life. Think of it like that, and it's a journey toward liberation. I hope that helps, guys. Baby steps. Yeah, and then the very last line that Koo said was a repeat of what Mijeong said. Trudging. So that is a really good translation. Like, you're kind of like this. That's okay. Like, who's to say that you're going to go like this? Like, yay, no. I mean, change is very hard, but you're like, okay, I'm doing this. But guess what? When you do go through it, it's so hard, but guess what happens? Oh my goodness. It's like you will feel so good when it's done. That one particular thing that you're going through, whatever that is, right? And then you move on to the next. So that said, I am your psychologist online and on YouTube. So I'll be going back to YouTube soon, and probably I'm going to give you a little glimpse because of all the requests. I am going to talk about doing deep dive on tomorrow because yes, it's full of stuff. I chose not to watching all this because I stopped after like one episode because it's very heavy, but I went back to it. I'm about halfway done, and I'll talk a little bit more about that because it does touch on a very, 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 very critical theme that is big in Asian culture. You know, it's probably very prevalent that we need to address, and that's suicidality, that the concept of suicide and all that surrounds it. So I just wanted to preface that you can look out for more information on that because it's good for people to know just what happens behind the scenes of how that comes to light. Okay, guys. Oh, love it, love it. Joyful Simple says, therapist says to look for small shifts and celebrate those. That's exactly correct. In fact, I mean, when people stare at me and they go, oh, so Jeannie, are you going to tell me this miracle? And I'm saying, if I could tell you a miracle to change your life tomorrow, then I would be like a trizillionaire. No, I can tell you one thing. And that might be, for instance, I need you to watch my liberation notes, which I said to somebody yesterday. I need you to watch my liberation notes. And they were like, what? It's not my cup of tea. It's not my style. I said, too bad. This is what I recommend, and let's talk about it, and we'll go from there. And so that could be one small change, getting someone to do that. Even like I said, I told you, even not writing a text message back is one small change. You are in control to feel fully liberated. Yeah, feel free to DM me, but that's it because I talk longer as I normally did, of course. But that is it for my liberation notes. Of course, it is now one of my top 10. I'm trying to figure out what number it is. I can't decide, but it's within the top 10. And I'll still be talking about it in the future. But this is my final live deep dive, and you can ask a question. I'm going to give you a minute. Put a question in, or you can DM me if you don't have the question right away. But I'll wait here for any questions. Thank you. You guys are awesome too. Thank you for joining. You can rewatch this. And I think I gave at least 5-6 takeaways. That's what I was trying to do, and hopefully that helps. Okay? Keep in touch, guys. DM me if you have a question.